What is your response to the allegations that have been leveled through this report?
I had to say from the onset that I'm talking as an individual. I'm not representing Sri Lankan Airlines as I left. I haven't seen the Valyamuna report, but I have read the content in the papers. I really don't wish to comment on the allegations, but I will respond to some of the things that basically reference my name. But I can tell you about this refleeting. This is part of a 5-year plan, and this plan was developed some time back, even before I became the CEO. And in fact, the plan went through the due process. It got the approvals of the board of directors, and this plan was presented multiple times to the government in power at the time. And once we have got the approvals, it was, I was asked to implement the plan, and that's exactly what we did. And while implementing, we have followed all the administrative processes required by the company. What I should tell you is that this refleeting didn't happen because the management sat down and decided that we had modernized all the aircraft, but this was a part of the 5-year plan.
Mr. Chandrasena, with regard to the refleeting, what they said in the report is that there were more cost-effective alternatives that were available at the time.
Yes.
As senior management, were you aware that there were cost-effective alternatives, and did you all take any steps to bring this to the attention of the board?
No, there were. Like anything, there were different options. But we listened to the stakeholder, the shareholder, and we understood their aspirations. And based on that, we were asked to come on a strategic plan, right? So and basically all these different, at the time, I don't know what these options right now are, but at the time, all the options were explored.
One of the very specific allegations that has been leveled through this report is that you were involved in falsification of documents for the procurement of a luxury sports car for the then chairman, Mr. Wickramasinghe. What do you have to say about this, sir?
I totally deny that. I think it's a mistake because as far as my recollection is, the chairman was entitled to an official vehicle, and that was given by Sri Lankan Airlines. This vehicle that they're talking is, I believe, he has got from Sri Lankan Catering as the chairman of Sri Lankan Catering. So, and catering, I'm not the person who was handling catering, and I believe they went through the due process in procuring the vehicle for the chairman. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's a mistake because I had no reason to get involved because it was nothing to do with Sri Lankan Airlines.
Mr. Chandrasena, also you mentioned earlier that, the refleeting of the airline, these decisions were made after exploring all the options. Now,
Yes.
given that the report is now saying that there were more cost-effective alternatives,
Yes.
should the entire board be held accountable for these decisions?
I can't comment specifically on that, but I can tell you how these organizations work. We as executives, we have to manage the company. And when it comes to major decisions, we go and get the direction of the board. So certainly, I can tell you with this 5-year business plan and the resultant refleeting is with the explicit approvals of the board and all the other stakeholders. It's with time there are many options available, but at the time, this was a 5-year plan and we were into the 3rd year and we were executing that plan. So I think there should be a collective responsibility as an organization for these decisions.
Mr. Chandrasena, is it possible that when these decisions were being made, that they were made under duress, that they were made under pressure?
No, there was no such thing. I think we were asked to look at the market and what we want to be. We looked at the competitive environment at the time, and certainly the objective was for Sri Lankan to play a role in attracting more and more tourists to come to Sri Lanka. Based on that, this plan was developed. There was no influencing, and certainly there were different revisions, number of different rounds of discussion. In fact, I have to tell you, this plan was developed before my time. When I became the CEO, it came to the final thing, and my task was to implement the plan. I can tell you, I think the year 3 is ending in March. I think the major objectives are being achieved. But in the plan, it never said that we are going to make profit on the year 3. So I think it was a long-term plan.
So another area where you've been specifically mentioned is that you simultaneously obtained a wage from Sri Lankan Airlines, Mobitel, and also from Mihin Lanka. What is your reaction to this?
Actually, I was the CEO of Mihin Lanka when I was considered for the Sri Lankan Airlines position, and I only obtained allowance from Mihin Lanka. That was with the full knowledge of the board that I did it. And the second is, I think sometime in 2013, I was asked to be the acting CEO of Mobitel until a CEO is appointed. And certainly during that time, Mobitel paid me the allowance. And I have a employment contract for doing those tasks.
Mr. Chandrasena, also a widely held belief among the public at the moment is that all of this has happened because of corruption and fraud on the part of senior management and senior executives at Sri Lankan Airlines. Do you accept that premise?
I don't subscribe to the fact that loss is due to the corruption as such. But again, I'm not there to comment on those reports. I think there are observations, and when the right time, we'll certainly are happy to give whatever the responses that's needed for those.
Do you believe that there was integrity on the part of officers who were above you at Sri Lankan Airlines?
Well, I think it's a difficult question. What I can tell you is I was the CEO and I was reporting to a chairman and the board, and my primary responsibility was really managing that. But if there's a higher officer who was also getting involved, then I cannot really take 100% responsibility in managing those. That's all I can tell you. Given the circumstances, I manage it to the best of my ability.
One final question. If any further action is taken with regard to this report, are you prepared to take the stand and testify?
Right. I think we are responsible citizens. We will certainly participate in any of these inquiries. In fact, that's how I participated initial inquiry. For the few points that you raised, I think I have given you my personal point of view.